tonight we are going to be talking about the top 5 things that make women quit intermittent fasting before they actually get to see the benefits and feel the magic of what intermittent fasting can do for them. So if you are new, welcome. I always suggest liking if you are here on Facebook so you'll be notified when I do live broadcasts. And if you are joining me on YouTube, please take a second to hit that subscribe button so that you'll be notified when I upload new videos to YouTube. So I have been in the health and fitness industry for the past 25 years or so, and my goal is to help women find nutritional plans and fitness programs to help them look and feel their best and live their most authentic life. And for me, over the past couple of years, that has really been geared toward intermittent fasting. As I kind of reached that 40 plus, 45 plus bracket in age, I started to notice some things were changing, and I didn't like the fact that I was kind of losing control of my body and all the dieting tricks that I used to do to kind of keep me in shape and keep me, at the place where I wanted my weight to be, and all the fitness I was doing no longer was having an effect positively on my body. And I was facing all the other sort of daunting hormonal changes that were going on and all the symptoms that were going with that. And I kind of just reached a point a couple of years ago where I kind of said enough was enough, and I was starting to have some health issues where I was actually diagnosed as a pre-diabetic. I had some thyroid condition issues. I also had some glucose intolerance, and just insulin resistance. It was just crazy, all the things that were just like literally overnight started happening and were causing me to put on weight and feel fatigued and not sleep at night and night sweats, and all the things that we go through as women was definitely happening. So I started doing some research and found some things on intermittent fasting, but initially kind of just landed on some health and fitness type of people, and they were not really living intermittent fasting in their lifestyle that I wanted to kind of follow, and so I was a little bit turned off by that. And then kept my search going until I kind of landed accidentally in the healthcare community in regards to intermittent fasting. I was fascinated by all the health benefits that were available for people who intermittent fasted, and especially for aging women, and was really intrigued by all the benefits that can be found with intermittent fasting for things like Alzheimer's disease and cancer prevention, and in some cases curing cancer, although I'm not claiming that that's what intermittent fasting will do, but it just fascinated me. So I kind of dug in deep and took an entire year studying intermittent fasting and the health benefits and all the different protocols and philosophies, and finally kind of created a method or a protocol that I use for myself that was very easy to fall into, very easy to adapt to my lifestyle, and really just have been using it day to day and have gotten phenomenal results. And now I am sharing what I have developed and what I've experienced with other women and helping them see the same results. So I talked to hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of women about intermittent fasting, and the one commonality that I think all women have, and I know I had the same thing, was we often get frustrated and quit right before we get over that hump of change and can start seeing and reaping the benefits and the results with intermittent fasting. So I'm going to share what I feel are the top 5 reasons why women quit intermittent fasting right before they get to the sweet spot with it, and then see if you identify with any of these things and if these things might have caused you to quit intermittent fasting, or they might be the thing that the things that are keeping you from getting to that sweet spot and really reaping those benefits. And I can say with my group that I have going on in April, and the same thing was going on with my group that I worked with in March, it takes them about 4 or 5 days to see the benefits of intermittent fasting when you do it correctly and you understand what's going on with your body. So if you are suffering from one of these 5 things, I would encourage you to take a close look at the course that I'm going to be starting here in May and kind of jumping in with us, because if you've suffered from these, I can tell you that in about the first 4 or 5 days in my group, you will start to see the results that you were hoping for with intermittent fasting. You just got to take a little time to understand how your body works. So the number one thing that most women are finding difficult to deal with when intermittent fasting is probably what most people are fearful of just hearing the word fasting, and that's hunger. And hunger is a very real thing, and in our society today, we're sort of taught to fear it and feed it. And that is the one thing that's getting us, especially women, and especially us women who are aging. And aging to me is any woman who is kind of past their childbearing years. So you're kind of done having kids, and then we start to kind of get into that process of our body changing. We've kind of just messed our body up, and we are just trained to feed it when we feel hungry. We are trained to eat every 2 hours, so we never really understand the process of hunger and the major hunger hormones that really do regulate our body's systems. And the hunger hormones are sort of the top level of hormones that we need to really be able to understand and really be able to manipulate in our favor, so that they can be regulated and then help us tap into the other hormones that we have going on that are out of balance. And so if your hunger hormones are out of balance, then the rest of your hormones are most likely going to be out of balance as well. And our hunger hormones are out of balance because of the way we are trained in our society to constantly feed ourselves and to not really understand how those hunger hormones are supposed to work naturally. We just get in their way and interfere. So the number one thing that causes most women to quit intermittent fasting is that feeling of hunger and the fear of hunger. And in our group, we teach you how to manage that. So if that was your thing, stay tuned. That could be the thing that could get you to the end. Number 2, fatigue and brain fog. So fatigue and brain fog are often the thing that brings people into intermittent fasting, and it is also the same thing that kicks them out before they see results. And that is because you're making a major shift in the energy producing systems of your body. So when you're eating every 2 hours and you're insulin resistant and you are in the sugar kind of on the edge probably of even being pre-diabetic, if you're getting headaches when you eat carbs, if you're craving carbs, that's usually a pretty good indication that you're on that borderline of insulin resistance. Then you're probably already fatigued and already have brain fog. Well, when you start intermittent fasting, you have to switch from burning glycogen to burning fat stores, and there's a process and a conversion that actually takes place when that happens. And in that 24-hour period of that conversion, you do feel a little fatigued and you have some brain fog, and literally the very next morning you wake up and you feel like a completely different person. But you have to get through that point, and you have to understand what is going on with your body and why it's happening and how to sort of medicate it naturally so that you can get through that period and get to the sweet spot on the other side. So the second thing that causes women to quit intermittent fasting before they get to the sweet spot is fatigue and brain fog. So the number one was feeling of hunger. So the number 3 one is dry mouth. Seems kind of weird, but when you are kind of reducing your nutrients and you're going long periods of time without taking in any calories, you do get some dry mouth, and that's just caused by lack of eating. And it can also be caused by dehydration. So a lot of times when women are first starting with intermittent fasting, we tend to avoid all things that are associated with food, and sometimes that could even mean water. And so we tend to become a little dehydrated just for the lack of wanting to be around a kitchen or where your water is. And so that happens very naturally and it happens very innocently. And then also we use coffee when we're intermittent fasting to help regulate our hunger hormones. And so coffee, being a diuretic, can also be that thing that kind of just puts you into a dehydrated state and can also cause you to kind of have that dry mouth feeling and that little bit of dehydration. So we work on that in our course and kind of get you through that. But if you don't know to expect it and you don't know what to do to fix it, then it can kind of be a scary thing. It could be that thing that's going to make you kind of jump ship for fear that intermittent fasting itself is doing that to you, and not the fact that it's just the process of getting to the point where intermittent fasting is going to actually work for you. And then number 4 is sensitivity to being cold. So something happens when we become fat adaptive. And fat adaptive is when our bodies naturally burn fat as a source of energy. And that's exactly what we work for in our intermittent fasting group. So when you become fat adaptive, what happens is your blood pulls in different areas of your body and you actually just feel cold all the time. And so If you don't know what that means, or you don't know what to expect, and that's something that you notice as a change in you when you're intermittent fasting, it can be that thing that will just make you, again, jump ship because you think something's wrong with you. And the opposite is the case. It's actually something's very right with you, and your body's actually doing what it is designed to do, and that is burn your own fat stores as a source of energy. And so we want to be sensitive to cold, and eventually that will balance itself out because your body will learn how to self-regulate, and then you won't have to deal with that feeling of cold anymore. So it's just something you have to work through. But again, if you're not aware of it, it could be that thing that could feel scary and can make you kind of jump out of fasting. And then the last thing is insomnia or trouble falling asleep. And this is the one that's a doozy for most women, especially aging women, especially women who have hormone issues or might be in that perimenopause, menopausal kind of stage of life, because we have insomnia with that. And then why would you want to enter into something like intermittent fasting and then get insomnia again? And I can tell you that the insomnia part, or the inability to fall asleep, is caused by a couple of things, and they're very easily fixed, and some of them are actually a good thing and something that you should actually look for on the positive. And that is, when you first start intermittent fasting, you might be incorporating some caffeine, and if you're not regulating the times in which you're drinking your caffeine, that the caffeine itself could be the thing that's keeping you awake, and it has nothing to do with intermittent fasting. And then the other reason why you could have difficulty falling asleep is because your body becomes so efficient that it no longer requires as much sleep as you used to. Or you'll just be so mentally alert and so vibrant by the fact that your body is so efficiently energizing you with your stored fat that you just don't feel like you need to sleep. Again, that is a phase that's temporary and will eventually balance itself out once your body is not on that hyper fat burning mode. But that's where we want it to be, because we want to be able to burn our own body fat as an energy source. So we're actually working into that. And then when we get there, some women panic and they jump ship because they don't want to have insomnia. And it really is not that it's insomnia. It's just that your body is actually functioning the way it's supposed to be, and you're energizing yourself, and you have more energy than you know what to do with. And that can be a scary feeling if you're coming into a situation like intermittent fasting and you're constantly fatigued and run down. So if you are a woman who has been trying to incorporate intermittent fasting, and any one of these 5 things, or maybe all 5 of these things, have kind of scared you and made you jump out of intermittent fasting, I would strongly encourage you to jump back in. All of these 5 things that I mentioned here tonight are very temporary, and they have a very specific and necessary reason for occurring in our bodies. And once we really understand them and we sort of take ownership of them and learn how to make them work in our favor, they actually become a very positive thing in our life as intermittent fasters. And we stop looking at them as negatives, because if you hit these 5 things when you're intermittent fasting, that means you're doing everything correctly, and that's exactly how your body is supposed to be responding. And if you hang on long enough, all of those reasons why you are looking for intermittent fasting will come true for you. If you are having trouble losing weight, or you're having trouble getting rid of some hormonal body fat, or you're having trouble with your sleeping patterns, or you're having trouble with your hormone imbalance, or maybe you have some health issues that you're trying to kind of fix or manage a little better, intermittent fasting will do all those things. You just have to get to the point where you can get your body working correctly, so then you can actually see the benefits. So quickly, I'm going to state the 5 reasons once again, and then I'm going to look and see if we have any answers or comments that we can talk about. So the first reason why most women quit intermittent fasting before they hit the sweet spot of intermittent fasting would be the feeling of hunger and being fearful of actually hungry. When in our intermittent fasting group, we have a little saying that we say, hungry's where the magic happens, because that's when you know everything's balancing out and it's working for you. Number 2 is fatigue and brain fog. Again, a temporary thing, and we can fix it. Number 3 is dry mouth from lack of nutrients in your body, or possibly just being dehydrated. Number 4 is the sensitivity to cold, and as soon as you balance yourself out, that sensitivity starts to wane off. And then the last one is insomnia or trouble sleeping, and that's because you are just an energized machine functioning off your body's own ability to burn fat as energy, And sometimes that just means you don't need as much sleep as you were used to. So let me see if we have any comments or questions. If you are someone who was intermittent fasting and you have recently jumped out of it because maybe you were suffering one of these things, leave me a comment below and I'll reach out to you and see if I can kind of help you get through some of those sticky spots. They're really, once you understand them, they're really not that bad. Okay, so I don't look like I don't have any questions or anything. Intermittent fasting is really a simple process once you understand it. And sadly, a lot of people don't take the time to teach you about intermittent fasting. They sort of just kind of say, go do this. And it really can be a little deeper than that. And there's a skill to it. Hey, oh, Rona, good. Yeah, I know you could probably relate to a couple because I know you guys just started, I think you started intermittent fasting a week ago. So that's that time that's a little shaky. But I can tell you once you get into our group, all of these things will really start to make sense for you and you'll be able to get to those results. Like literally they're going to happen overnight for you because you're already sort of incorporating intermittent fasting a little bit. So once you get the understanding of why it is some things are happening, or you get the understanding of why we do things a certain way, it's going to be a fascinating lifestyle for you and your husband, and you guys are going to see some great results. So I'm super glad you're going to be joining us in May. And then I saw that my friend from Puerto Rico is here. So welcome. Thanks for joining. Again, it's Robin, I think, right? I can't see without my glasses on. Yeah, I swear, if intermittent fasting could fix my reading issues, I would be like so excited. It's fixed everything else. It just can't fix my inability to read small text. So I think that's pretty much it, you guys. Super simple stuff, but when you're going through it and you're scared, and what I found we do as a society is when something happens, we always kind of go toward the negative, especially if we're kind of hyper focused on something. So when you incorporate something new, like not eating for long periods of time in your day, you're sort of hypersensitive to some of the things that are going on in your life and some of the things that are changing in your body. And for some reason, we naturally switch over to finding something negative about it. And I think that's just because of lack of knowledge. And so what I really stress in my intermittent fasting groups is educating you so that you can put all of these things to a logical reason and a physiological reason why it's going on in your body, so that you can understand it. And then instead of it being a negative, something that you fear, it's something that you can embrace and appreciate. And when you can embrace and appreciate how these things really do benefit you, then you've hit a home run and you will be able to intermittent fast for the rest of your life. And we're supposed to be fasting anyways. That's how our bodies were designed to function. That's how we're designed to be youthful. That's how we're designed to be healthy. And we have just interfered with that. And so we're going to remove all that interference and open ourselves up to be the way we were designed to be. And that is as fasters. Excuse me just a sec. So we'll teach you all that stuff. And I'll teach you all the little tricks that you can do, like drinking carbonated water, how to use coffee properly, how to really get yourself into a true fasted state and not just not eating. And there is a big difference between being truly fasted and just choosing not to eat. And so we'll work on some of that in our group as well. So I'm going to jump off if you guys don't mind. I don't see any more comments or, oh, here we go. Here's another one. Let's see what this one says. Let's see. Hey, Diane, I've noticed that I have been getting headaches after I eat carbs. Yes, Tarsha, you are getting headaches after you eat carbs because your body's not wanting carbs. And so especially when you are breaking your fast, you definitely don't want to have carbs. So why don't you, Tarsha, send me an email with what it is you're eating when you notice that you're getting a headache, and then I'll work with you to kind of tweak a couple things, and we can see if we can get that to change for you. And usually it's just as simple as going from a carb to a fat, and then we'll get that fixed. Remember, our bodies don't really want a lot of carbs, and so if you're getting a headache, that's your body telling you something. It's telling you that something's not right, and so we need to listen to that. Send me the list of the foods that you're eating. We'll do a couple tweaks for you, and we'll play with it for a couple days, and we'll see if we can get that to go away for you. Yes, insomnia will pass, Anne. And let's work with you too and see if there's something we can do to switch something up for you. After about 3 days, the hunger goes away and your thinking is clearer. Yes, your thinking is crystal clear. So if you're one of those women who studies or who suffers from brain fog, or and I've talked about this in a couple other videos of mine about Alzheimer's disease and the precursors to that and the warning signs for Alzheimer's. And I've definitely had them all, and Alzheimer's does run in my family. And so intermittent fasting is fantastic for people who do have those sort of preconditions for Alzheimer's. And preconditions for Alzheimer's are what we call senior moments, meaning like, where did you leave your keys? Where are your eyeglasses? Where did you park your car when you went to shop at Target? Like all those things we laugh off as being senior moments, but they're scary. We should take those very seriously because those are the pre-warning signs of Alzheimer's disease. And so intermittent fasting works fabulously for that, because it when you get to the point where you really learn how to become fat adaptive and you get into that autophagy stage and we start burning off some of those damaged cells in our bodies that are just sitting around and causing fog everywhere and problems everywhere, that fogginess in your brain completely goes away and you will be sharp as a tack. And so I always say start intermittent fasting sooner than later, because if we can get that all cleared out and we can get our brain working better, then we just have that opportunity to kind of put off some of those things way down the road for us that we just don't have to deal with now. So let's see what else. And yes, and the insomnia does go away, and you might want to just watch if you're doing any caffeine or anything, or see what you're eating later in the afternoon, and maybe we can switch some things to earlier in the day, and we can do a couple other little tricks I'll share with you. So let's connect either tomorrow or maybe early next week, and we'll see if we can get that settled for you. All right, so if there's not anything else, I'm going to jump off. And just a real quick statement too, for those of you who are kind of on the fence about joining us for our intermittent fasting group. We don't track weight loss, and we don't do before pictures, and we don't do before measurements, or at least I don't ask for them. If you want to do that for your own personal reference, I always highly recommend it, because things change very quickly. And so you'll want to have a starting point that you can compare to, because you probably won't believe the results any other way. But we started our April group on the 3rd. It's now at the 13th or 14th. And I was just texted today that someone had lost 8 pounds already. 10, 12 pounds already is a very common weight loss. And keep in mind, we're not focusing on weight at all. All we're focusing on is how to intermittent fast correctly. So we don't count calories. We don't count portions. The only foods that we eliminate from our life are the foods that don't make us feel our best. And those things are different for you than they are for me. Like the foods that don't make me feel my best are just foods I avoid eating, not because they're bad food or they're not on a good diet plan. It's because they just don't make me feel good. And why would I eat something that doesn't make me feel good? And I help you determine those foods for yourself. So I don't give you a food plan. I don't give you a menu. You figure that out all on your own based on what foods you like to eat because they make you feel good, both physically and emotionally. So there's no reason to go through life not eating the foods that make you feel good emotionally and physically. So you get to determine that for yourself. And I kind of just give you some guidelines to make sure that you're making the healthiest choice that's out on the market today. So we don't track calories. We don't do food plans. I just teach you about your body, teach you how to listen to your body, and then teach you how to be an efficient intermittent faster so that you can be successful at it. And then you can carry it on for the remainder of your life. So just wanted to add that in because I know a lot of people are sort of like on the fence, like they don't know if they want to do another diet program. It's not a diet at all. See, my husband says he notices I don't lose my phone, my keys, and my purse as much. Like, seriously, like that's worth it right there. And I don't panic when I walk into a parking lot after I've been shopping because I remember where I parked my car now. And it was really bad for a while for me, memory-wise and brain-wise. I would look at my kids and not remember their name. Like, I couldn't recall their name in my brain to get it out of my mouth to have a conversation with them. And that's when I knew it was very, very serious for me and I had to do something. So for me, And the reason why I don't focus on weight or anything with you in your physical appearance at all in this group is because if all you got out of this was a healthier you and you didn't lose a pound, then we were successful in intermittent fasting, because I want to help women be healthy and happy and feel their best. What happens when you feel your best and you're happy and you're healthy and you make these changes where you become a fat burning machine and you get your metabolism revving again and you eat the way your body's meant to have food go in it, and your hormones are balanced out and you truly understand how to value the feeling of hunger, you lose weight, like naturally lose weight, and it comes off in like chunks. And so it starts to happen really fast once you settle into it. And so that's why we spend so much time together, because I want to make sure that you've settled into it before I kind of let you loose and trust you to do it on your own. So I take very good care of you and make sure that you've got it down pat before we part ways. So I will post a link below for my May group. Keep in mind, it's halfway to capacity already, and we haven't really been advertising it other than in these videos here. So if you think that you want in, I highly recommend that you get in sooner than later. We had to cut it off last month and had to say no to some people because we reached capacity. And I do have a firm number of people that I have in my group, because I do give you my 100% undivided attention, and I can only handle so many women at a time because I do have a family and kids and stuff like that that I need to have time for. So if you're interested, I would highly recommend you get in and reserve your spot, and then you take it at your own pace once you're in. So don't feel too stressed about that. But I would hate to have you get cut off if you really, really wanted to get in. And we start May 6th, and we'll go through kind of the first weekend of June. And you don't, this is a cool thing too about this group. You don't have to worry about like holidays and life and weddings and graduations and all that kind of stuff. Like, you don't have to miss life anymore. I teach you how to intermittent fast so that it fits your lifestyle. Like, you don't have to give up life to be an intermittent faster. So you can partake in all your social functions. You can enjoy yourself around food. You can go to parties. You can have a great time with your friends. You determine what all that is for you, and there's absolutely nothing that's going to be cut out of your life that you deem as something that's valuable and important to you. Okay, so for reals, I'm going to jump off this time. Have a good night, you guys. Tonight is my last night for the week, so I don't do lives on Friday and Saturday because I save those nights for my family. And then I'll be back on Sunday evening. And if you want to catch the replay of this, you can catch it in the video section of my Facebook page here, or you can always catch any of these videos on YouTube. I post them there, and they're available the next morning by usually about 5:30 Central Standard Time. So have a good night, you guys. Thanks again for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in my group.